This is a compare and contrast of my 3 scooters. The 2 on the right side of the screen are the first ones that I got, and then I added this one, so we have J's, W's, and WJ Handy Dads. So if you're in the market for this sort of thing, watch Amazon, because mine was about $800 when I got it. W's was listed at like $400, but it had a big coupon off and I got it like $275-ish, and this one was $225, I believe. This one and this one are pretty comparable, so I don't know why the price difference. Kind of the front view there. See the headlight on that one, a little bit bigger headlight on there. And then on mine, you've got a dedicated headlight down there. So this is aftermarket. The mirrors aftermarket. Cup holders are aftermarket, and the little cell phone holder there is aftermarket. All of them fold up by activating that there, and then they can be carried easily. So you pull that pin, press this in, I will say in theory these fold up by pressing the release there, or there, or there, and then the handlebar folds down over the top and makes a nice little kind of suitcase carry. And even the big one there is only about 40 pounds, so it's manageable to carry. The reason I say in theory is these do not release. I'm a big, strong dude, and I pressed with all of my might, and I'm afraid I'm going to hurt myself, and they just don't move. So there's probably a trick to it. Maybe it requires having a real sturdy boot on or something like that. But for our purposes, they just, in theory, fold up. W and J's scooters are basically the same. You accelerate here and you brake here. They both supposedly have a cruise control function, although I will tell you it's not fun, because if you let go of this and it keeps going, sometimes you're kind of like, I'd say panicked, but it's kind of a weird feeling when it keeps going. So I really prefer that you just have to hold it down, and then you can slow down instead of it just keep going. This one has a bunch of controls here for turning on the headlight. You got a little horn. You can change settings between miles per hour and kilometers per hour. I believe this has got the same thing, just with the one button. I haven't really messed with this one. I rode W's quite extensively, and it hauls my carcass around. And even though I'm pretty close to the weight limit on it, and then this one obviously handles me just fine, and I've rode it quite a bit. So these two are ideal for just zipping around for fun. There's no frills to them. They have the smaller wheels on them. I do recommend that you get the solid wheels like these have, not the air-filled. The problem with the air-filled is, from what I've heard from others, is they pop all the time. You hit something and then you have a flat tire and you're stuck. Whereas these, you'll never have a flat tire. They adjust the handlebar height by flipping that, and it'll slide up and down. W's is a little bit fancier, as it also has a lock that you can lock it in there, keep it from moving. The one thing that's kind of strange is most time you think of accelerating like this, but that does nothing. This is the basically gas pedal, if you want to call it that. Moving up to this model, you basically could utilize this as transportation around town, particularly if you live in a big city or if you live in a community where you can move around your streets and stuff. You know, it comes with a seat that mounts there, so you could ride it as a seated vehicle. This one, you're getting the upgraded braking system. You're getting front and rear disc brakes that work just like a motorcycle or a bicycle. You've got an actual key that you can take with you to give you some level of security on this. And your throttle is here. Now, I've turned this. You can adjust it wherever you want. It came from the factory sitting straight up like this. I'm sure if you are seated on here, it's probably ideal to have it sitting like that, but when you use it as a stand-up model like I have, I find it better to be rotated at that angle so I can look at the controller there and see what speed I'm going, what gear I'm in, etc. These two for sure, and I think that one as well, have 3 gears. It's not operated like a manual transmission, rather it's gear 1 limits the acceleration and speed, gear 2 limits it less, and gear 3 is full-blown acceleration and top speed, so you can really get moving on these. I would say about 30 miles an hour or faster if you're going downhill. I know I've gotten this one well over 20 miles an hour with my carcass on it, and W has gotten that one over 30 miles an hour wearing shorts and flip-flops. So I was not happy he did that, but it is nonetheless impressive that he was able to get it going that fast and not wipe out. With the power on, you can see there's your speedometer. It has an odometer which seems to always reset, and then you have your battery life indicator. And up at the top you see the gear indicator. It's in 2. 2 is my favorite preference. It doesn't accelerate so hard and it still gets going pretty good. When that's in 3, you have to be careful. If you pull on the throttle too hard, it'll really get moving sometimes and leave you kind of unstable unless you're prepared for it. On this side you have your headlights on and off, and when on, you see you also have the tail light on. And then you have your, that is what you get for a turn signal. And of course your horn. And then I added the rear view mirror. I felt like that was pretty essential to have because where I'm riding this around on our neighborhood streets, a lot of the cars are kind of quiet nowadays, and so they can kind of sneak up on you. W and J's both have a rear brake system there. They claim that this is more for the emergency stopping purposes, and they want you to use this brake. I believe that this one slows the front wheel though, so that is kind of an oddball situation. You really, if you've ever ridden a motorcycle, a moped, a bicycle, normally you want to brake the rear tire on those type of vehicles, and so like when I'm riding mine, I typically use just the rear brake. So we've had those two since the end of June, and this one we just picked up recently. I will say so far I'm really impressed. They're holding the charge well. They charge up fully pretty quickly, and like I said, even with me riding either of those two, it doesn't seem to drain the battery near like what I expected it to with somebody my size. That one's rated at 265 as a max weight, and I'm weighing in at 250. This one's rated at 335, and so I'm well under the limit there, but on this one I'm right at the top. Especially fully dressed, I probably am closer to 260. And like I said, it doesn't bog down, and it doesn't seem to run the battery down like you would expect being at a max weight like that. Only issue we've really had is down here, these bolts that hold the lower part of the handlebar. They tend to not hold it tight enough so that the top part will kind of spin out of alignment a little bit. I think I finally got it fixed. I put some silicone in there and let it dry, and it hasn't moved since I did that. So that might be the fix if you get one of these and your handlebar is kind of getting out of alignment. With these two lesser expensive models, you pretty much don't have anywhere to mount anything on handlebars. With mine, there's just barely enough room to mount the mirror, and I could mount another mirror or something over here. Obviously these bags mount over the top there and connect to the post, and it's held on very tight, as you can see. A nice sturdy case, waterproof case. And then I mounted my drink holder kind of on the side there. On W's, it had to be mounted straight on like that. And J's is new, and I've ordered the cup holder and a bag for him to put his cell phone in, and those should arrive any day now. They're easy to mount. It just clips on there and tightens down just like your standard bicycle mount stuff. This flips. You can tighten it or loosen it, and then flip that back down to clamp it tight. So demonstrate for you. That's what I'm talking about. So you can turn this to get a custom tightness, and then that locks it into place. If I was going full speed, I don't know that I would trust this to be a cell phone holder, but it's claimed to be able to hold. Said I don't know if I would trust it going full speed over bumps and so forth, because I think it would have a chance of falling out. But it was free with the cup holders. If you have it in your budget, I would strongly urge you to get the $800 model. The 2-inch bigger wheels really make a big difference, in my opinion, as far as comfort and ability to go over different types of terrain easier. Plus the added strength of being able to carry 335 pounds makes the whole thing stronger and sturdier and safer feeling. You got a much wider base to stand on, as you can see. So if your feet are bigger, you still have more room to put them on there. Just to give you an idea, that's a men's 10 wide foot on there compared to that one. So you really don't have room for both feet on there without angling them quite a bit. This one also has some rear shock absorbers. I don't know how much difference they truly make, but they are nonetheless on there. Like I said, having the disc brakes and being able to brake from the rear wheel only, to me, makes a big difference on how safe and comfortable this feels. The major difference between that one and that one is this one is front wheel drive, that one is rear wheel drive and rear wheel brake. So this one arguably is a better design than this one as far as the power and braking setup. There's the display on W's and a much simpler display on J's. See, there's how you shift your gears. double click turns his headlight on, as well as the tail light. W's, you see, that's the horn. Not much there. There's the headlight, tail light on his flashes. And there's his gear changing. Overall, I'd say we have had a ton of fun riding these around. We first discovered them in Austin, Texas. We rented some and were zipping around the trails of Austin. And as soon as I got home from there, I placed the order for these two, and we've enjoyed them ever since. Like I said, this one, you could use it for some of your transportation duties depending on where you live. It's heavy duty enough, powerful enough, and the key, being able to somewhat secure it, you could drive this for errands and whatnot. And if you prefer riding it seated, you even have a pretty comfortable seat. Like I said, I prefer riding it standing up, but you can do both, whichever you prefer. Anyway, hope that was enjoyable. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about them. I'll post links where you can buy all of them. Like I said, you just want to watch Amazon because they will post pretty significant discounts on these periodically. So if you find them one day full price, check back in a day or two and you'll probably find a pretty good coupon or discount off of them. And they're all the same brand, Evercross, and like I said, I have not had any issues with any of them other than just that handlebar there being a little too loose to hold it straight. But once I put silicone on it, it has held up fine and remained aligned.